The Galactic Empire had existed for 10,000 years, stretching across hundreds of systems and ruling over billions of beings. To most species, it was the pinnacle of power and order. None had dared challenge it for centuries. But that changed when a small blue planet at the edge of known space refused to bow. The Empire called it a minor matter. One planet, one insignificant species. Primitive, they said. Loud, reckless, emotional, and chaotic. A people who had barely mastered faster-than-light travel and had no standing in the Grand Senate. They called them humans. When the Imperial fleet entered the Sol system, they expected surrender. Their commanders laughed at the idea that humans would resist. Reports said the humans had only a handful of warships, most outdated, their technology crude by Imperial standards. The Empire sent a message demanding submission and tribute. The humans replied with a simple transmission. "Come and take it." The Imperial fleet advanced. Their commander, Admiral Rayler, considered the battle an exercise for cadets. He ordered the fleet to attack Mars, assuming Earth's defenders would break before their orbital bombardment. But the bombardment never happened. The moment the first Imperial dreadnought entered orbit, its sensors failed, its shields flickered, then its hull ruptured from within. A single human vessel, small, ugly, built like a hammer, had rammed it at impossible speed, its kinetic impact splitting the dreadnought in half. The Empire's officers stared at the wreckage in silence. The humans called that ship Defiant. The rest of the fleet reacted with disbelief. How could a single ship do that? They fired in retaliation, their energy beams slicing through the void. The Defiant weaved through them like it knew where every shot would land. It fired back not with plasma or lasers, but with solid projectiles. Each shell tore through Imperial shields as if they were mist. In minutes, the Imperial vanguard was gone. The Empire blamed luck. They regrouped and brought reinforcements. 200 more ships under High Marshal Varen himself. The Emperor expected victory. When they arrived, they found Earth ready. Not with fleets of the same size, but with something else entirely. Massive orbital stations hung above the blue planet, bristling with launch tubes. Swarms of small autonomous drones surrounded them like a living shield. Varen smirked. Drones could not replace ships. Then the human defense grid activated. Thousands of drones moved as one, controlled by something beyond comprehension. They darted between Imperial ships, disrupting targeting systems and confusing their sensors. Then came the second phase, the planetary rail batteries. The Empire had seen large ground weapons before, but not like this. The humans had mounted planetary-scale railguns into the crust itself. When they fired, space itself seemed to shudder. The first salvo cut through Varen's command ship. The next wave wiped out half the fleet before they could retreat. The humans called that system Project Stonewall. For the first time in millennia, the Galactic Empire faced defeat. The Emperor was furious. He sent his Grand Council into emergency session. Every commander who survived blamed inhuman precision. Some whispered that the humans were using unknown physics. Others said they were mad enough to weaponize their own planet. But even then, the Empire believed they could crush humanity. They gathered their largest armada in history, 3,000 ships led by the most powerful dreadnought ever built, the Empyrean. It took a year to assemble. When it arrived at Sol's Edge, the human defenses were gone. No fleets, no orbital stations, only silence. Scanners found no energy signatures. The humans had vanished. The Emperor ordered a full-scale advance toward Earth. Then every Imperial ship received a transmission. "This is the Terran Defense Command. You've entered restricted space. Leave now." The voice was calm, human, unshaken. Varen restored to command, sneered, and gave the order to continue. The fleet advanced toward Earth. Then it happened. The stars shifted. The Empire's navigational systems went dark. Their comms fell silent. Space itself bent around them. Out of the black appeared hundreds of new human ships, larger, sleeker, and silent. They had no visible engines, no energy emissions, nothing detectable by Imperial sensors. Yet they moved with perfect coordination. The Empire's ships opened fire. Beams, torpedoes, and kinetic rounds filled the void. None hit. The human ships glided through the barrage untouched, as if time itself bent around them. Then they retaliated, not with light but with invisible fury. One after another, Imperial ships simply stopped functioning. Their cores failed. Their reactors shut down. Gravity turned against them. The Empyrean tried to ram one of the human ships but missed as the target blinked out of existence. reappearing behind it. Then, without visible weapons, the human vessel cut the dreadnought in two. The humans called that new class of warship Spectre. The Empire's forces collapsed in panic. Ships collided as their systems went mad. In less than an hour, 3,000 Imperial vessels were gone. Those that fled carried a single message back to the capital. The humans control the void. The Emperor refused to believe it. He declared that the humans used dark sorcery, impossible physics, or forbidden AI. He ordered another invasion, but before it could launch, strange readings appeared near the Empire's core worlds. Human ships, not hundreds, thousands. They had crossed light years in moments. They appeared over fortress planets, industrial systems, and shipyards. None fired at first. They broadcast a message. This is a demonstration. Then the demonstration began. Human ships fired pulses that erased orbital defenses without explosions, leaving nothing but dust drifting in perfect silence. Planetary shields failed without damage, as if someone had turned them off. Cities powered down across entire continents. The Empire's citizens stared upward as enormous vessels hovered in the sky, glowing faintly with blue light. And then the ships vanished. No demand. No conquest. Just proof. The Imperial Senate fell into chaos. Whispers spread that humanity had unlocked something ancient, some power beyond faster than light, beyond matter itself. The term quantum phase navigation appeared in reports, but no one understood what it meant. The Empire sent envoys begging for a truce. The humans agreed to talk. The meeting was held on a neutral station in orbit above a dead moon. On one side sat the Empire's highest dignitaries, robed and trembling. On the other, 3 human officers in plain uniforms. No medals, no insignias. The Imperial Prime Minister tried to maintain dignity. "We acknowledge humanity's unusual capabilities," he said. "We wish to avoid further conflict." The human in the center, a calm man with a steady gaze, nodded. "We prefer peace," he said. "But peace must be earned." The Prime Minister frowned. "Earned?" "Yes," the human said. "You brought war to our home. You called us primitive. You burned our colonies. You destroyed without understanding. Now you will remember." The Empire's delegation bowed their heads. The human continued. "You've seen our defense force. You've seen the fleet we deployed." He leaned forward. "But you haven't seen the real army yet." The chamber fell silent. "The real army?" the Prime Minister asked. The human's expression didn't change. "Those ships you fought were our reserve, our experimental defense wing. The real army is still in cryo-orbiting Earth, waiting for deployment." The Imperial officials froze. The man's tone carried no threat, only fact. He stood, placed a small black cube on the table, and said, "This contains the data of every system you attacked, every civilian you harmed. You'll compensate them. And from this day, no human territory is to be entered without permission." He turned to leave. One of the Imperial aides stammered, "What if we refuse?" The human paused and looked back. "Then we wake them up." He walked out. The delegation never forgot his words. Over the next months, the Empire withdrew from every human border. Treaties were rewritten. Planetary governors resigned. Human ships appeared briefly across sectors, ensuring compliance, then vanished again. But behind the scenes, the Empire's scientists worked desperately to understand human technology. They dissected wrecks, intercepted signals, analyzed fragments of debris. None made sense. Every piece of human machinery was encrypted in ways that defied logic. Some said the humans had transcended material engineering, that they built their ships not with tools, but with thought. Rumors spread across the galaxy. Some claimed humans could fold reality, using gravity itself as a weapon. Others believed they had merged consciousness with their machines. But the truth was simpler and more terrifying. Humanity had learned how to coordinate. Where other empires relied on hierarchy, humans relied on unity. Every soldier, every drone, every ship shared one synchronized network of thought, not artificial intelligence, but collective awareness. They didn't think faster, they thought together. Every battle, every maneuver was perfect, not because of technology, but because of trust. The Empire never recovered from its defeat. Generations later, they still spoke of the day the humans arrived. Children in the outer colonies whispered tales of ships that appeared without warning, silent and unstoppable. And yet, humanity never invaded. They didn't conquer, they simply watched. Their ships roamed the borders, unseen sentinels guarding their territory. One day, a small Imperial scout ship stumbled across a derelict station beyond the mapped frontier. Inside, they found a data log. It was human. The log described the early battles of the Sol defense. The final line read,